Hi, everyone. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to my Sunday live stream where we talk about photography and what's been going on this week with everyone. And oh, hi, Ellie. Not sure what she wants all of a sudden. But anyhow, thanks for joining me today. I always appreciate you guys taking a little time out of your day to spend it with me. It's always the highlight of my day, and I always look forward to the stream. So thanks for being here. So this week, I went out a couple times this week to do some, excuse me, so unprepared. I really needed about another 2 minutes to get ready. It's always dog hair in my mouth. Anyway, let's see. Randy's here. David Crooks. Oh, hey, Dave. Sorry I missed this morning. I just woke up late. David Crooks runs the local photography club that I belong to, and it's always I really enjoy those, but I just have trouble getting up lately. Scott Mumford, oh, you're not going to be able to stay a while. Projected to be 113 feet in my home. Oh, I assume you're talking about temperature. 85 in my room now. Statewide excessive heat warning. Wow. That's something. Actually, I should probably turn the AC on in my house. It's it's only 79 degrees, but by the time the stream's over with the computers running, it'll be probably 90 in this room. All right. Hi, Music Sound Gear, Scott Mumford, Randy, John, you'd say, oh my goodness, Robin Wong, how are you? Good to see you. Robin Wong's here, everybody. Always good to see Robin in the chat. I know that the timing it's like 11 o'clock at night over there, right? It's like a 12-hour difference. And Christine M, good to see you. John Allen, Rick Bear, always good to see you, Rick. Amir and Leon, awesome. John Truman, and I think that's most of us. Jesse Espinoza, sorry. Okay, and Jan Garcia. So where I was starting, I was talking about some fireworks photography this week. I went out Friday and Saturday night with David Crooks and David Tellett the first night, and there was a lot of it's really challenging. I did a short video. By short meaning I didn't spend a lot of time making it, but it's still like a 12-13 minute video of the kind of the challenges I ran into and how I edited it. Because you go online and you look for videos on how to do fireworks, and they're okay, right? And I get it. It's not easy. It's not like sunrise, sunset, landscapes. You can go out anytime. But fireworks, you have to go at special events, and they're not like every day, every week. It's like 4th of July here in the US and New Year's Day. I mean, there's a few celebrations, but usually it's only 1 or 2 days, and the weather has to be right. So I definitely took advantage of the last 2 nights of fireworks because the weather was perfect, and there was an event, 2 nights in a row. And there's going to be a couple more coming up this week. And it's a lot harder than I thought. I mean, you look at the videos. Most videos are for like not for cameras that don't have live composite, right? And even some of the live composite videos, I think there's one by Olympus. They make it look so easy, right? But it's really not. Depending on the fireworks show. The one that I went to, and I put a 1-minute clip at the end of my last video, but they're like just popping off constantly, right? One would pop up, a couple seconds later, that's totally dissipated. But in the meantime, like 3 or 4 other fireworks went off. So it's just like sports action photography. I mean, you have to be fast on the shutter. to capture them because they dissipate so quickly. At least the one I went to, and then at the same time, you got to try to navigate a long exposure, half second to 5 seconds on your camera. And if you try to use live composite, that's tricky too because there's delays uh, from the time you press the shutter, get the first exposure, take the second exposure. You have to make sure it's in focus because you have to refocus again unless you manually focus. But I was struggling with that too a little bit. So the first night was a total wreck. I only got 2 or 3 images that were just slightly passable, and then I had to do a composite to blend them together. Why is my chat? But anyway, now I lost what I was talking about. Fireworks, right? And I forgot to mention my brain has been cloudy all week. I haven't been able to think straight, like without, I don't know. My train of thought, it's like I'll go for about 30 seconds. And if something, it's almost like ADD. It's like my mind goes off in another direction, and I can't remember the point I was trying to make. So I spent time, I'll come back to that. As far as fireworks go, so I went out the second night and I said, okay, I got this, right? I'm gonna, because from the first night I analyzed the photos and the experience I had trying to get the pictures, and this was the exact same fireworks show the second night, so I could, I've done it before, right? So I tried again, and God, I still made a lot of mistakes. I posted one image up, but I abandoned trying live composite because the workflow was too slow for that particular fireworks show. And I set it for a half a second, F8, push the shutter button a couple times, right, to get it started, and then the fireworks would show, and then I'm like, man, it's overexposed, or 5 or 6 other fireworks have gone off since I pushed the shutter button, and now the whole thing is full of overlapping fireworks, and you can't get any separation between the different colors and things. So let me show you a couple examples because it'll make it a lot easier. Screen number 2. So this was last night, right? And so this is when it started. So I did a couple of long exposure shots of the landscape so I could do a composite later, right? So it's kind of funny. The first one here, I realized I was way off, right? They didn't go off where I expected them to. So I quickly recomposed and got this shot, but it was a little out of focus. And then it was too high, right? Am I zoomed in or something? Oh, here we go. But I love this glow on the water. It escapes me why it's red though, because the fireworks are yellow. I don't know. It was giving me a little trouble in blending. And then there's another one and another one. But let me see where I was talking about. Like, here's one where, like, yeah, I missed it. I was too slow. This one just died. This one just started. And then I tried, a lot of misses here. Like here's one where multiple ones went off, and it's kind of hard to separate everything. And then this one was just too high, but this was beautiful. It's like, this is the perfect shot. are perfect fireworks. You know, you got these beautiful streaks down here. You got multiple fireworks going off at just the right time. Like here's a purple one, here's some orange, and then some white ones and some blue ones. This beautiful glow. It's like perfect, but then the top is cut off. It's like, dang it, you know? And I couldn't go any wider because I was using my 40 to 150. Now I did bring my 14 to 150 lens. Anyway, you guys get the idea, right? There's a bunch here. I'm gonna try and work with some of these and get them to. All right, and then I'll just show this last one here, the finale. This is the finale. What did I do? 6 seconds at ISO 100 f11. I mean, and this was probably a live comp. I'd have to go into workspace to double check. But yeah, everything's overlapping each other, and then overexposing the scene somehow. So it's a total loss. This was probably live bulb or something, or live time. I can't remember. I was just, because you got like 15 minutes or less to like adjust your exposure correctly, right? To whatever scene you have. And man, it was over in a blink of an eye, it felt like. But I'll show you one composite I did from this night. This one. This one came out pretty good. So, you know, it's a composite, right? The landscape scene I took before everything started, and then I just overlaid the fireworks, and I got good separation of color, and everything was in the frame this time. It wasn't cut off at the top, and I think this came out pretty good. The only problem is it was just slightly out of focus, which, you know, for these kind of shots, it's not that critical, but that's what I was doing. So that was the challenge I had with fireworks. It's, you know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, basically. And everything I saw online doesn't apply in real life, like a lot of videos, right? It's just so hard. It's so hard in real life to you know, when you've never done it before. So I'm going to go out again. I'm going to go out as many times as I can, or find fireworks that I can practice on until I finally get a good feel for it. Then I can give you some halfway decent suggestions, maybe. Because I was trying everything. Manual exposure. Ultimately, I feel like fireworks, doing manual exposure is going to be the best way to do it. And then you can adjust your aperture and or shutter speed so that you can get the fireworks exposed properly. But regardless of how you expose the fireworks, you know, you're never going to get the landscape that the fireworks are shot over exposed properly. So if you want to get that sort of double exposure, or not double exposure, where is it? I already closed it. Oh, no, here. Yeah, in order for you to get any sky or landscape in the image, you have to do a composite, which, you know, is a common technique for astrophotography and things like that. And actually, it's a little bit of a peek into how I do my real estate photography, because I'm in real estate, you know, interiors in particular, you're dealing with very high dynamic range scenes, right? Very bright windows, very dark furniture. So this is like a subset of techniques that I use for my, you know, real estate photography. So that's why this actually kind of came easy to me, because I've been doing it forever. But I'm trying to use new tools. So I did this composite using Affinity Photo. And right now, at least I think it's on sale for like $25. If all you're using is Olympus Workspace, you need to get Affinity Photo to complement that, because Affinity Photo will do layers, focus stacking, astro stacking, I don't know, HDR. It'll do a lot of things that Olympus Workspace cannot. It'll do panoramas and stitch things together, and it is excellent. It does a really good job at those particular features, uh, and it's only $25 right now. There is no free program out there or collection of free programs that can touch Affinity Photo when Affinity Photo is at $25. Nothing comes close. And I would argue it does a better job than even some more expensive products like from Adobe or even Photolab. Photolab doesn't have any of those features. All right, so let me take a quick break and look at some questions here. I see a lot of my name popping up. The very kind man, my Rob Trek. And then Rick Bear says, surely you'd need to do live composite merging in post versus waiting for in-camera live composite. I'm just trying to remember how we shot fireworks on film. Yeah. One thing I thought about instead of live composite was to actually just put the intervalometer on and just let it fire on its own. Because I was just struggling. I'll have to give some thought. But doing live composite and post, and what I think you mean is taking multiple images and then merging them back together later. Yeah, David's saying he wishes live comp would do a quarter second instead of half a second. Yeah, they arbitrarily picked a number somewhere. I don't know why it needs any limit, really. Why not just have live composite have an open shutter to do anything, any shutter speed you want? I mean, there may be some point of no return or, where it doesn't make any difference. But at the same time, why not? Why not any shutter speed you want? Maybe at least up to 1/30th of a second. Why a quarter second? Up to the limit of because I imagine the live composite is going to be limited by the scan rate of the sensor. And I think the fastest scan rate might be 1/60th of a second, whatever. There's some technical mumbo jumbo there that might limit the shutter speed because of the sensor scan rate. But why not go to that limit, right? Why stop at a half a second? Just like auto ISO. Why is auto ISO limited to 6400 on the higher end cameras? And then my EM10s and Pen F, it's like my PL8, they can go up to 25,600 in auto ISO, which makes more sense to me than limiting it at 6400. And I'm thinking it's more of that arbitrary decision was probably based more internally on they don't want to get phone calls about how noisy the images are when you're using auto ISO. So there's probably some arbitrary decision for that. There's no technical reason for it because the other cameras do it. And oh, thank you, Steph. And some of the images are great. I appreciate that. And then Thomas says, Tony Noether posted an old school method a few years back. Set the exposure to bulb or 60 seconds. Expose, but periodically cover the lens with a baseball cap. A manual light. Yeah. So yeah, I've seen people use black cards. I didn't see that particular video. But yeah, you can put black card, just basically cover the lens, right? With the shutter open and then manually adjust things. That would be particularly useful, I think. You could do virtually an overlay, right? You can get the landscape exposed properly because you would just hold the black card about halfway down the frame while the foreground exposed, right? I mean, there's lots of different ways to do it, but in the very short time and how fast things were moving, like I said, it was like doing sports action photo. Can you imagine? Like you're trying to cover a soccer game or football game or something using a bulb mode with a black card. That's what it's like trying to do fireworks. It's like it takes a certain amount of skill right, or experience to do fireworks. It ain't no, what settings did you use, uh, and point the camera and shoot. It's not like that at all. It's like you have to adapt quickly to the kind of fireworks display they're doing, the pacing of the fireworks, the different lighting conditions, and the landscape. I mean, it's not it's not an easy thing to tell somebody how to do fireworks videos, because you could watch a fireworks video on YouTube and they're talking about one particular show, maybe, right, where the fireworks, two or three big ones go off in different directions, and so you got a sky full of fireworks, whereas and then it's a few seconds before the next ones go off. So there's this like pacing, right, on larger fireworks types shows, versus the one I went to. They were all shooting out of a few cannons in the middle of the water rapidly, and then I got a comment or feedback from, I can't remember. I think it was Music Sound Gear, that he went to a fireworks show where it was coming in all directions, like in front of, behind him, on the sides. So he's going all over the place. So anyway, Christine M is asking, I wonder at f11 why out of focus? Mainly because it either focused in the background, right? It probably focused behind the fireworks, because that your depth of field is usually a little bit longer behind the focus point than in front, I believe, depending on your angle of view, right? Because I had the camera pointed up slightly, so that I believe my depth of field is longer in the back than it is in the front, meaning what should be in focus. And then depending where the focus point went, because in theory, there's only one focus point, right? There's one plane of focus, and then everything else is out of focus. But depending on your pixel pitch, your focal length, and all of that stuff, will determine how much more is perceptibly in focus from that initial plane of focus. So just your pixel pitch alone, if you have larger pixels on your camera, things will be tack sharp over a wider area, right? So you'll have a deeper depth of field with large pixel cameras. Now, our Micro Four Thirds have very tiny pixels, especially the EM1 Mark III with a 20 megapixel sensor. So it actually has a shallower depth of field, right? Because it has the resolution to pick up the difference, that resolution in the focal plane, from the focal plane, I should say. It's really hard to describe without a graphic, But, let's say this is your focal plane right here. And depending on your focal length and aperture, your depth of field might be this, with a, say, 12 megapixel camera. But with a 20 megapixel camera, your depth of field might be like this, right? Because it has a higher resolution to pick up the differences in the focal plane, or from the focal plane, I should say. Now, we're really splitting hairs, right? And in practice, these things are not, people don't really calculate for pixel pitch and all of that, right? And like I said, in practice, you really can't see the difference on a normal image. But theoretically, these are the things that happen. And when you're dealing with huge distances and you're angling the camera where your focal plane is no longer flat, right? Your focal plane, because of your sensor, is now tilted this way or this way. That formula changes again. So even though I'm at f11, things will be out of focus depending where my focus point is and all the other factors. So Basically get used to it. Ideally the best way is you have a perfectly parallel focal plane with whatever you want to focus on with your sensor, and then you can use these depth of field calculators to figure out what your uh, depth of field will be, and then where the focus point should be for infinity focus, which there's another term I always forget for that, where you calculate an aperture, focal length, and point of focus so that everything's in focus from front to back, or from the focal plane back and a little bit in front. So it's not as simple as saying set your aperture to f11 and everything will be in focus. There's so many other things that come into account, especially when you're dealing with landscapes and huge distances, right? And then your lens has to be sharp enough to be able to resolve anything anyway. I mean, there's so many factors. I don't mean to make it complicated, right? The simplest way is, yeah, just shoot at f8, f11, focus about 1/3 of the way into the frame, and everything should be in focus from your focus point back and then a little bit in front, right? That's the simple rule of thumb that most photographers will use without thinking about everything I just talked about, right? Because all of that is just very hard to do in the field, right? And with experience, you get a feel for things like this, where I'm at f11 and it's still out of focus. I can look at that image and say, okay, so my focus point is either way too close or way too far. In this case, my focus point, let me go back to this image. On this particular image, right, my focus point was actually probably on this landscape back here. Even though this is a composite image, this is where I had the lens pre-focused. So the depth of field is probably a little blurry, because you can see the fireworks are probably a few hundred yards or a few hundred meters, whatever metric you use, from the landscape right here. Because see, this tree is kind of blurry, but this landscape is very sharp. But then the fireworks themselves are a little bit blurry. So as I suspected, was my focus point was behind the fireworks, and that's why the fireworks are a little bit blurry. Okay, I hope I explained that right, and I wasn't totally wrong. I've been known to be wrong before, but I think I got that right. I don't know. You guys are welcome to chime in and correct me if you want. I will not take offense at all. Okay, let's see. Man, there's 100 chat things came in. I just want to catch up on the chat, then I'll jibber jabber some more about some other stuff that's been going on. Oh, Walter's here. Hey, Walter, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's see. Rick says, definitely go for manual exposure, as anything that shows down the camera speed like autofocus is bad, and I'd like to avoid composite for the same reason. I'd avoid live composite for the same reason. Yeah, it may not be the way to go. I mean, I know Olympus uses that fireworks as like the prime way, or a great example of how to of the live composite feature. But in practice, I was not able to make that work. So I'm gonna chalk it up to my inexperience at this point. I'm not gonna fault live composite yet. But right now, manual exposure is much more intuitive, right? If you're familiar with the exposure triangle, shutter speed, aperture, ISO, focus point. If you're familiar with your camera and the settings, manual exposure is so much more intuitive when you do the fireworks than trying to throw in a layer of computational photography like live composite that has limitations like a half a second, Anyhow, and Rick again is following up with shoot multiple images as fast as you can, even if underexposed, then do Yes, that makes sense. That's effectively live composite, doing it manually. And Randy says, I pre-focus fireworks, then F8 at half a second. Live comp works great. Yeah, I mean that's I ended up at F8 half a second for some of the live composite shots, and that seemed to work pretty well. My problem was, at least last night, was I pre-focused, but then I had to recompose because the fireworks were out of the frame, and then the focal length. Like I said, it was there was a lot of user error there for me to get that right. But I did try half a second F8, but then the problem I was having was with this particular fireworks show, too many were going off at once, and things just started overlapping, and it didn't look good. And Walter says, "Good morning, all. Been a while. Hope everyone is well." So greetings to Walter, or greetings from Walter, I should say. And everyone's talking to each other while I was talking. That's great. I encourage that. Ramat Rasuddin, hello. Cool little stickers there. And in the film days, I use bulb at F14 and hit the shutter button when fired, the release when it goes out. Yeah, so long exposure, basically. And then Walter says, last time I shot fireworks, I used ISO 100, 4 seconds F8. I think I used the hyperfocal marker in the lens to set the focus, then left it in manual. Yeah. I mean, these things all make complete sense. So maybe I'm overthinking it, right? Maybe I'm just trying too hard. I don't know. I don't know why I had so much trouble with this. I mean, I was expecting to get hundreds of great fireworks photos because they probably launched 1,000 different fireworks, so I could get a few hundred out of that. But I'll end up with maybe 2 or 3 that are halfway decent. And of course, that's got nothing to do with skill. That is pure luck, right? Spray and pray type fireworks photography. That was not because I knew what I was doing. If I get any shots that look decent. So, I mean, it's, but that's okay. I mean, we all have to start somewhere and learn somewhere. And sometimes, you know, I think this is what it was like when I was really starting photography. You start overthinking things and making it 10 times harder than it really needs to be, right? And I think I'm almost caught up here. I'm just skipping all the chat in between each other. And Randy says the best fireworks shot composite I made was from an old E5 and a 50 to 200. Nice. And Dave Nelson says maybe you could contact Gavin Hoey at Olympus to get his input on fireworks photos. Yeah, nah, you know, these guys, they don't care. I'm not gonna say they don't care about me, but they got too many people to get back to other than me. I mean, I'm just seriously, I'm just one more photographer in their eyes. I'm not anything special just because I have a YouTube channel, you know. And if you watch my channel, like many of you have, it's like, yeah, he's just the guy with a camera. What's you know, whoop-de-doo. Rick says, I used to do a lot of commercial shots in the foundries, iron foundries. I have to be very careful because Rick pointed out I tend to read the comments and miss words or misread it. So I'm going to try to be very careful. I used to do lots of commercial jobs in iron foundries, similar low ambient light with high intensity sparks problem. I don't think we ever found a perfect solution. Sorted it in darkroom. Yes. That would be a very similar situation. I mean, in terms of lighting and even composition to some extent. And Christine M asks, will you have more opportunities to try out fireworks before the big one? I don't know. I'm gonna have to look around. If I find, I'll start looking. I'll look for some today. I'm gonna call my sister and see if she knows of anything. She's much more of a social person than I am. And Jesse's saying heavy lightning storms are the same with live composite. If you aren't paying enough attention, they will overlap each other and goes from epic to overwhelming. Oh yeah, I bet. And Ed De La Rey says, apart from the focus, it's luck, not skills. You are indeed overthinking again. Go with the flow. Thanks. That gives me some comfort that I'm not just an idiot. You know, it is very hard, random, and uh, a lot of luck involved. And Rick says, you're relying too much on the clever digital camera features instead of relying on your past experience in shooting in these conditions. Yeah, like I said, I'm overthinking it. I mean, it could be as simple as, but my concern was, like, when I go to this image here, this image was at f4.5. Well, this is the composite, so I don't know which is which. I didn't want to blow these highlights. So I kept messing with exposure, just because if you start blowing highlights, you start losing colors. And this one I got lucky. I got all the colors that this particular show had to offer. And Robin's, oh, hey, Robin. If Gavin Hoey does not respond to you, let me know. I will make a long rant on my podcast videos. I don't see how he won't help you. Like I said, I have no doubt many of the creators here on YouTube, photographers on YouTube, would be happy to help anyone if they could. My hesitation, or my expectation, is I'm just another photographer. Why would he bother getting to me before anyone else? I mean, it's kind of like me. Like, I try to help as many people as I can, and but ultimately, there's a limit to who I can get to, and like there's a photographer I just discovered yesterday on YouTube. There's a few. Let me pull up my YouTube real quick. What is? Oh, yeah, I don't care about that. Let me go over to see if I can do this without losing my stream. YouTube. So let me go to this page. So these are the videos, recent videos from channels I subscribe to, right? Where is it? Gosh, there's so many videos to watch. It's insane. How come it's not here? I just subscribed to her. And there's another dude that the Micro Four Thirds guy is interesting. This is why my live streams go for 2-3 hours, right? Because it takes me forever to find something. I could have sworn, what was it called? Beautiful. Let me just type in beautiful. No, that's a general search. I don't want that. Oh my God. Why is this not? Why is it not showing? Go back one more day. God, there's some channels I need to unsubscribe from, but I give up. I can't find it. Oh well. Oh, thank you, Robin. That's right. This girl, Robin. Beautiful Wander. Yeah. Thank you, Robin. I'm sorry. I should watch the comments. Beautiful fully wander. This young lady here has, she has some Olympus videos, and if you're a beginning photographer, I think definitely check her channel out, because she's very down to earth, and just talks about her experience, right, doing different, well, at least in this particular video. I like this one. I haven't seen anything else yet. I don't know why this caught my eye. Well, I take that back. Her video showed up as one of the videos that uh, as a suggested video, right? So somebody was watching her video, and then one of my videos came up as a suggested video to watch, and that's how I found it. But she is nearly impossible to find, uh, unless it just comes up randomly. And this is why a lot of small channels, I would love to promote them and help them out as much as I can, because I know how hard it is, seeing what's, how YouTube algorithm works and all. I'm a channel hoarder. I know I spend way too much time, but I went into the About Me page and I wanted to show you something else. Robin, if you type her name in like this in Google, right? I have to call her back. That was not my mom. Otherwise, I would have to answer. Here. She has a page on Olympus. I was surprised. So I'm like, man, I should have a page on the Get Olympus website. What is this? Yeah, this is Get Olympus. Why don't I have a page? I guess because I didn't ask. Right? But yeah, so anyway, definitely check her out. Um, you might enjoy her content. I haven't seen anything else other than the one video, and it's just a talking head video with a few pictures at the end. But she talks. She's really nice to listen to. She's very pleasant and gives a lot of great insight into, because a lot of things she said about shooting, because that video was about shooting with one lens. I think she shot with the 25 millimeter. A lot of things she said are true for me as well when I shoot with one lens. And one thing that she added though was she said she felt like she was taking her camera out more often because it had this one small lens on it, which I, you know, I thought about it and I said that's I could see where that's possible if you only have one camera. But I have so many cameras, I can't say that that applies to me. But anyhow, beautiful wander. Check her out. Give her a few likes. It's always inspiring to see uh, young photographers in coming into photography, right? Like I met a couple the other day at the photo club that, one was 29, the other was 36, I believe, and they love photography and they're really just getting started. So it was great to see that. Okay, so I was at Robin's comment. Thank you for that, Robin. And Rick Bear says the way the human eye and brain experience a fireworks display is mostly impressionistic. Good fireworks photography is about what you create as an impression rather than a sharp image capture. Yes, that's what I was saying. I wasn't too worried about the focus, but it'd be nice if it was. Just just out of habit, I guess. You're looking for a bag with the opening in the back. Oh, that's weird. Serge is looking for a bag, so I assume you're talking about like a messenger bag type that has a zipper. I got something like that, I think. This is my Temba bag. I use this for my real estate photography because it holds all my lighting gear and everything at the same time. But I wouldn't call it an opening, but there's a pretty big compartment on the back here. And then it also has a zipper on top. So on the front flap, there's a zipper on top that lets you get in this way. But that's the only type of stuff I've seen. I haven't seen anything where it literally opens in the back. They have backpacks that do that. Those low pro backpacks that flip around and open upside down. That's an awesome backpack. If I was still into backpacks, I would definitely get one. Yes, I'm a channel hoarder, Dave. It's so true. I think I'm subscribed to 80 channels or something. Yeah, I need to trim that down a bit. And let's see. Indonesian people must watch this channel, not just unboxing and review of stuff. This is far beyond learn the basic photograph. Okay, I'm not sure what channel you're talking about, but if you mean mine, thanks. if it's Robin's, any of us really. Now we got another Robin in the group. We should have her on for a live chat, right? That would be kind of fun. Stephen Long, good to see you, and thanks for posting to the group all your images. A lot of you are posting to my Flickr group images, which is awesome. I've really been enjoying those. I'm just it's funny. My expectations were pretty low when I started the group. I don't know why. I shouldn't say that out loud, but my expectations were pretty low. But you guys are submitting some incredible images. I mean, just like far beyond what I thought, that I expected to see. Which clearly indicates, your experience that you guys have is clearly far more than I have. Because it's not like, some of them, there's always great images when you can go to a location that is just, it's hard not to get a bad picture, right? But a lot of the images you guys are taking, I'm like, these are in normal kind of places that you see every day, but then somehow you make it really amazing. So yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome. I'm really glad I started that Flickr page because you guys inspire me to go out and shoot some more, because I'm looking at them. I'm like, man, that's a great image. I could probably do, I could do that, Yeah, Robin, you should have a page too, right? Yeah, let's both apply and see what happens. Because there's a way to apply to that. That's the America page, right? I assume it includes all of North America because she's in Canada. But they're looking for landscape travel type people. I guess I qualify, right? Why not? Rick Bear says Olympus USA says f8 and shutter speed 3 to 4 seconds should give you good results. Set the ISO to 100 and don't forget to change to manual focus and set it to infinity. Yes. I mean, like I said, maybe I'm just overthinking it, because those settings are simple enough. John Matthews says, I'm subscribed to 226 channels. I only watch a few. It's true. It's true. When I was going through all the videos, I'm like, yeah, there's Robin and Maddie and Peter, Jimmy. Like I always hit those usually, unless they're doing a lens review. Then I'm kind of like, I usually skip those because I got all the lenses I want. or unless it's about a lens I'm thinking about getting, like the 8-25, then I'll watch those. But I saw like 2 or 3 videos on the 50 millimeter f1.2. I think. Like I don't want that lens. I'm not even a little bit curious about a lens like that. It just, especially if it's manual focus. I mean, it makes sense if you're on a budget and you want to get a cheap lens that's really good, shallow depth of field, supposedly very sharp. Based on the thumbnails that I've seen, I think it's probably a great lens to get started, but I'm sort of leaning towards Robin Wong's idea about, no manual focus for me is what he said, right? You don't manually focus. You got to have autofocus. And my argument at the time was, I don't mind manually focusing. It's part of the process or experience of photography. Just another, let me rephrase, another way to experience photography is manually focusing, right? Just from a hobby perspective. And I'm sure there's professional photographers that manually focus all the time, but man, there's times when I want to manually focus, and then there's times when I don't want to bother. I just want autofocus. And Dave Nelson says, just the ability to chat with other photographers. Dang it, it jumped. I'm sorry. Just the ability to chat with other photographers is well worth the cost of access to your channel. Oh, thanks. There's no cost of access. It's free. But if you want to make a donation, I have a little link right here or over here. It's a little bit cut off, isn't it? I don't have my, I better fix that. Nobody can see my donation link. Oh, what did I do? Do I need to move it up? There. Maybe up one more. And then the browser needs to move up. There we go. Now it's right. I was rearranging stuff to make it that last video. The T Artisans 51.2 looks interesting. Yeah, it does. It's just, if it's manual focus, I think I would go for the Sigma 56 1.4 instead. And Robin says, AF all the way. Xenography is also top. Yes. I need to watch their channel again. There's one channel that's like, it's another female photographer, but I don't think she uses her name for the channel that I'm subscribed to. It might be that one, Xenography. And John Matthews says, not to be too critical, but I'm finished with the overproduced, self-promoting, over-the-top infomercials in the camera YouTube channels. In my opinion, this is not what YouTube is about. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that and this goes back to what I was saying before about the YouTube algorithm not promoting channels that I think really deserve a lot more attention. So a lot of creators on YouTube, they got onto YouTube to you know, run it as a business. So they start watching all of these how to make money on YouTube type videos, how to create thumbnails, how to get titles, click through rate. I mean, there's a whole business side to YouTube that if you get into it, there's a lot to learn, right, about the algorithm. And a lot of creators are chasing that algorithm because they're running their channel as a business, and it's, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, there's a lot, right? It's hard to find smaller channels like this one that I just beautifully wander, right? That are more genuine, more grassroots. I don't know what the right term is, but a little bit more, less commercialized, less algorithmy kind of channel that are trying, they're just sharing their love or passion, right, with the world. And I've always believed that if you create good content, people will find you. And you shouldn't have to resort to the tactics or chase the algorithm. Um, it just chasing the algorithm leads to, I think, compromised content to some extent. Um, so I don't know. I just feel like that's why like the video I cranked out yesterday on the fireworks. I got a standard template I use. Red, yellow, and a picture, right? Just a standard template, and what you call it, and then I just type the episode number and what the video is about, and then the description. I don't really write too much in there, but maybe I should. Uh, but you guys know my channel, right? It's not about chasing the algorithm and trying to get clicks and views and new subscribers. It's about just sharing my passion for photography. So I shared with you my fireworks video because I wanted to show you what troubles or struggles I was having, but I ultimately did get a result. And oh wow, there's somebody's messing around. Anyway, so I try, Let me see if I can help. The problem is it's like whack-a-mole with these guys, right? You knock one out, another one pops up, and it's probably the same person. I got to find the screen. There. That's one. Let's see. I can click on that. All right, so hopefully that got rid of it for now. We'll see. We'll see if we have to keep playing whack-a-mole for the whole stream. Let's see. Rick says, it's interesting that Olympus USA are telling is to switch off all their cameras' clever advanced features when photographing fireworks. Classic case of back to basics. Yeah. I have no idea. What else is going on? I'm trying to follow your messages because there's so many. Hate when that happens. It doesn't happen often. What happened to Micro Four Nerds? She got like a day job developing tutorials, and educational material the last time, when she was in the live stream with us in January. So I assume that's what's been going on since then. I mean, I see her post on Facebook every now and then, just social stuff like what Facebook is for. But I think, sorry, I'm so distracted by this other thing. I appreciate that, David. All right. Let me go back. All right. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the stream here and just restart it. And hopefully this person will not be there, because you get into these, sometimes you get these kinds of like bots that can post something. They got 1,000 accounts, so they just rotate through these accounts and keep posting and messing up your stream. So I'm just going to go ahead and end the stream here and come back on in a couple minutes. So let's all just take a 5-minute break, and I'll be back soon. All right. But for those of you that are going to that have been here to this point, I really appreciate your time. But I'll come back in 5 minutes. Okay. So we'll see you later. If I can end the stream, it's always a problem, right?